Cleveland Browns fans, get ready for something that will completely change everything you thought you knew about your team's future. A bombshell has just dropped from the Browns organization that is so shocking that it has sent shockwaves through the entire NFL. This is the most shocking news to come out of the Browns in years. Jimmy Haslam, the owner, has made his choice. And it's a choice so big and game-changing that it will change the course of this storied franchise for generations to come. Several sources close to the Browns organization, who asked to remain anonymous because this information is sensitive, say that Jimmy Haslam has chosen his future quarterback. And that quarterback is Shedeur Sanders, the exciting young quarterback who has taken the football world by storm. This isn't just a guess. This isn't just a dream. This is going on. And it's happening right in front of us. The choice has been made. The die has been put on. And the Cleveland Browns are about to start the most exciting time in their franchise's recent history. The Browns have been looking for that one player who can take them from being average to great for years, even decades. Fans in Cleveland have gotten dizzy trying to keep track of who's taking snaps under center because the quarterback carousel has spun so many times. But all of that is going to change soon. Jimmy Haslam sees something in Shedeur Sanders that he hasn't seen in any other quarterback who has worn the orange and brown. He seems like the real thing, and the Browns can deal with this. This isn't about making predictions or wishing for growth. This is about knowing when something is great and having the guts to go all in. The timing of this revelation makes it even more shocking. In a league where every game makes teams freak out, one bad game can make them question everything, and one great college game can make executives think they've found their savior. Jimmy Haslam has said he won't look through that short-sighted lens. He isn't making quick decisions based on changes from week to week. He's not getting caught up in the hype around a college player who has one great game and then becomes the talk of the town. No, Haslam has thought about it carefully and come to his conclusion after weighing all the options. The Cleveland Browns have been looking for a franchise quarterback for a long time, and Shedeur Sanders is the one they need. But let's take a step back and really think about what made this huge choice happen. Shedeur Sanders didn't just end up in Jimmy Haslam's lap. This young man has earned this honor by giving a series of performances that were so amazing and impressive that even the most skeptical people had to notice. Sanders has shown scouts not only the physical tools they love, but also something much more valuable and rare: his ability to play. He has shown mental toughness, football smarts, and leadership skills that can't be taught. Shedur puts in an amazing amount of work every day to improve his craft. In meetings, he's the first to arrive and the last to leave. He analyzes film with the same intensity as a veteran player, not a young player who is still learning the ropes. He gets ready for games very carefully. He pays a lot of attention to the little things, and he is so dedicated to doing things well that it spreads. This is how trust is built. He can be defended with tipped to each other, to the coach. It's built into all those hours when no one is watching, when the cameras are off, and when it's just about the work. And Shedeur Sanders has worked hard day after day, week after week, until his teammates have no choice but to believe in him, and his coaches have no choice but to give him the keys to the franchise. The most amazing thing about this whole thing is that it shows a complete change in the way the Browns think about building a team. Cleveland has been in a state of constant uncertainty at the quarterback position for so long. They'd draft a quarterback, he'd have trouble, they'd bring in a veteran, and he wouldn't do well. This would go on forever. But Jimmy Haslam's choice to make Shedeur Sanders the franchise quarterback doesn't just fix the quarterback issue. It changes the way the Browns can build their team in the future. Take a moment to think about what this means. If you don't have a franchise quarterback, you're always looking and hoping to find your guy. You're always one draft pick or free agency period away from finding him. But when you know you have your quarterback, when you have a player you trust completely at that position, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. The Browns don't want to hire another quarterback to run the team anymore. That search is over, done and over. Instead, they can now use their draft picks and salary cap space to build a team around Shedeur that will bring out the best in him and give the team a chance to win championships. Jimmy Haslam is sure that Shedur has shown enough to keep the quarterback job for a long time. And when an owner feels that strongly, it changes everything. The Browns can now look at the offensive line and figure out which parts need to be improved so that their franchise quarterback can stay safe and have time to work. They can look at the receiving corps and figure out which weapons would work best with Shedur's skills. They can look at the running back position and figure out how to make their ground game work so that their young quarterback doesn't have to do too much. And on defense, they can spend money on playmakers who will get the ball back to Shedur and give him more chances to work his magic. This is what a franchise quarterback does for a team. It makes things clear. It shows the way. It gives people hope. And in Cleveland, hope has been hard to come by for way too long. Shedeur Sanders is changing all of that, though. He isn't just a quarterback. He's a light, a sign of what this team can become when it figures out how to fill the most important position in all of sports. Now, let's talk about why Shedeur Sanders is so great. You can't just say he's good at what he does. All of the NFL quarterbacks are good at what they do. Every quarterback who gets this far has physical gifts that make them different from 99% of the people. But Shedur has something that goes beyond just talent. He has that special something that sets great quarterbacks apart from good ones and great quarterbacks apart from legends. There is no doubt about his athleticism. Shedur moves through the pocket like a dancer and with the speed of a sprinter. He can extend plays, make something out of nothing, and turn what should be a sack into a game-changing completion when protection breaks down, which it always does at some point in this league. But he's not just a guy who runs away. He is a real dual-threat quarterback who can hurt you with his legs when he needs to, but his main focus is still on throwing the ball and breaking down defenses. And what a strong arm it is. Shedeur Sanders can make every throw that an NFL player needs to make. He can hit the ball into tight spaces on intermediate routes. He can drop it over the top with touch and accuracy on long passes. He can shoot lasers at quick game throws. When he needs to, he can throw from different angles with his arms. The strength of the arm is top-notch. But it's not just about how hard he can throw. It's about how he throws with speed when speed is needed and touch when touch is needed. That's the best way to play quarterback. And Shedur has shown that he can do it over and over again. But his football IQ might be the most impressive thing about him. Shedeur Sanders takes in information at a speed that is surprising for someone his age and experience. Before the ball is even snapped, he can read defenses with amazing accuracy, figuring out coverages and possible blitzes. After the snap, his eyes move through progressions quickly and with a clear purpose. He doesn't focus on receivers. He doesn't throw the ball into coverage. He always makes the right choice based on what the defense gives him. In a league where the difference between winning and losing is very small, having a quarterback who always makes the right choice is very important. Shedeur Sanders is different from other players because he is mature and calm under pressure, in addition to being physically strong and mentally sharp. These aren't just empty words or coach speak. These are real traits that he has shown in all of his performances this season. Shedeur Sanders raises his game when the lights are brightest, the stakes are highest, and other players would fall apart under the pressure of expectations. He calms down. He becomes more focused. He gets better. Remember just a few months ago? There were real questions about Shedur. Was he ready to run a team like the Cleveland Browns? Could he handle the stress of being the quarterback of a team with such a troubled past at that position? Would the pressure of expectations crush him before he had a chance to succeed? The Browns have seen quarterback after quarterback fail under that pressure. They can't handle the scrutiny, the constant criticism, or the fact that the whole city is watching and waiting for them to fail. Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, is different. He's not just another rookie trying to figure things out and hoping to live long enough to become something someday. He has risen to every challenge, welcomed the pressure, and done well in situations that would have broken other young quarterbacks. He stays calm no matter what the game throws at him, which is something that most longtime veterans would love to have. You can't teach that. That doesn't happen over time. You either have it or you don't. and Shedeur Sanders has a lot of it. There has been a lot of proof in recent games. Shedeur has thrown for a lot of touchdowns, showing the kind of timing and accuracy that offensive coordinators wish they could have. He reads defenses so well that it seems like he's been doing it for 10 years instead of just one season. And in the clutch, when his team really needed a play and there was no room for error, he has come through time and time again. These aren't just stats from garbage time that were padded against prevent defenses. These plays are important when the stakes are high, the kinds of plays that make or break a career and win football games. Shedeur is getting better and better as a player and a leader every week. Jimmy Haslam is very excited about the future because of that path. If this is how Shedeur looks at the start of his career, think about how good he'll be in 3, 5, or 10 years when he's at his best. The sky is the limit, and the Browns finally have a quarterback who can reach it. You can't tell this story without talking about Andrew Berry, the general manager who has been making the roster moves behind the scenes. Berry has started to make bold moves that show a new era is beginning in Cleveland, and Jimmy Haslam is fully behind him. For years, the Browns had trouble getting players to play consistently because they weren't good enough, weren't buying into the team's vision, or weren't performing up to par. But Andrew Berry has decided to change the roster to fit his vision now that Shedeur Sanders is the franchise quarterback. Berry has methodically gotten rid of players who were thought to be getting in the way of Shedeur's success. It's not about being mean or spiteful. This is about being honest with yourself. Some players weren't playing as well as they could have. Some people had bad attitudes that hurt the locker room culture. Others, on the other hand, didn't have the dedication needed to be part of a winning team. In professional sports, you either step up or you fall behind. There's no in-between. You won't get a trophy just for showing up. You're either all in or you're out. The Browns are also proving that they aren't afraid to make tough choices to get the most out of their team. The message Andrew Berry sent to the locker room is very clear. If you don't want to give everything you have for Shedeur Sanders and this franchise, if you're not committed to the team's goal of winning a championship, and if you're more interested in your own stats and contract than the team's success, then you're not part of the Browns' future. That's all there is to it. This brave move by the front office has had an effect on the whole company. Players who might have gotten by in the past now know that the bar has been raised and that they must give their all. The goal now is to put the right pieces around Shedur. Players who are willing to buy into the team's vision and help the franchise succeed in the long run. Every choice about staff is based on how it will help Shedeur Sanders do well. Does this offensive lineman have the skills to keep our franchise quarterback safe? Can Shedur trust this receiver to run the routes perfectly in important situations? Does this running back have the patience and vision to help our play-action game work better? The Browns are making decisions based on these questions. And it's a nice change from how things were done before, which was all over the place. One of the most impressive things about Shedeur Sanders' rise to fame is how well he's dealt with the huge pressure that comes with being the face of a team that needs to win. The Browns' problems over the past few seasons and decades could have easily crushed any young quarterback. The ghosts of quarterbacks who didn't make it. Tim Couch, Brady Quinn, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, and Deshaun Watson all haunt the halls of the Browns facility like ghosts that remind everyone of their past mistakes. But none of that has bothered Shedeur Sanders. He's been as steady as a rock instead of giving in to the stress. Even though there was a lot of chaos around him, critics questioned every choice he made, and the media picked apart every throw, Shedur stayed calm and collected. He has a mental strength that you can't fake. In some of the most stressful situations imaginable, when veteran quarterbacks have freaked out and made mistakes, Shedur has stayed calm. No matter how close the game gets or how much is riding on the next play, his heart rate doesn't seem to go above resting rate. The game against the Tennessee Titans was a perfect example of everything that makes Shedeur Sanders great. Shedur showed off all of his skills when everything was on the line and the Browns' season was on the line. He ran the game like a pro, never trying to do too much or forcing things, always staying within the offense's structure while still making plays when they were there to be made. He read the Tennessee defense like a surgeon, finding its flaws and using them to his advantage without mercy. And when the pressure was on, when the game was on the line, and the Browns really needed someone to step up and make a play, Shedur did. But his game against the Titans wasn't just about his own stats, even though they were impressive. It was about how well he could get his teammates to work together and win. His voice in the huddle was strong and confident. His behavior on the sidelines made people believe. His performance on the field proved that belief. This is the kind of leadership that makes teams win championships. This is the kind of presence that can change a team. This is exactly what Jimmy Haslam thought when he chose Shedeur Sanders to be the Browns' starting quarterback. Now, let's talk about something that people often forget to mention when they talk about franchise quarterbacks, but it's very important to know how Shedeur Sanders affected the whole team: the fans. Fans of the Cleveland Browns are some of the most devoted, loyal, and long-suffering fans in all of professional sports. They've stuck with this team through years of disappointments, heartbreaking losses, embarrassing performances, front office problems, and coaching changes. Their loyalty has never wavered, even though their patience has been tried over and over again. But that loyalty was starting to fade. Prices for tickets had been going up while the product on the field kept letting people down. Even though fan interest was still strong compared to most franchises, it was starting to wane. The stadium wasn't as exciting as it used to be. The people in the tailgates weren't as excited. Many fans were just going through the motions and showing up out of habit instead of real excitement because they no longer believed that this team could really compete for championships. Then Shedeur Sanders showed up, and everything changed. Fans started to support him with a passion that hadn't been there in years. The stadium was full of energy again. The tailgates became famous again. Browns fans weren't just hoping their team wouldn't let them down anymore. They were really looking forward to seeing what their young quarterback could do. They had faith again, and that belief spread quickly. The best sign of Shedeur's effect on the fan base came when he was out for a short time. As excitement grew around the team, ticket prices had been going up steadily. Then, all of a sudden, they dropped. Fans were clearly interested in watching Shedur play because he wasn't there. They were no longer just fans of the Browns. They were fans of Shedeur Sanders and the Browns at the same time. It may seem like a small difference, but it's actually a huge one. It means that Shedur has gone beyond the usual player-fan relationship and become something more, something bigger, something that will change the whole franchise. As soon as Shedur came back to the field, ticket prices went back up. Fans ran back to see their new hero lead their team. The energy in the stadium picked up again. One of the most important and interesting things about the Shedeur Sanders era in Cleveland is how fans' feelings changed. Fan engagement in the NFL isn't just about how many people show up and how the game feels, even though those things are important. It's all about money. It's about selling things. It's about how many people watch TV. It's about how much the whole franchise is worth. And Shedeur Sanders is making all of those numbers go in the right direction. This brings us to another interesting aspect of Jimmy Haslam's choice to make Shedur the franchise quarterback. Haslam isn't just betting on Sanders as a player. He thinks of him as a cultural icon, a marketing phenomenon, and someone who can make the Browns brand more popular both in Cleveland and across the country. This is where Shedur's unique background and upbringing come into play in the story. Shedeur Sanders is well known because his father is famous. But instead of being a problem that Shedur had to deal with or get away from, it's actually been a benefit. He knows how to deal with the media. He knows how to run a business in football. He knows that being an NFL quarterback, especially a franchise quarterback, means more than just being an athlete. It means being a brand, an ambassador, and a representative of your city and your organization. Jimmy Haslam has realized that Shedur's presence goes beyond the football field. He has become a source of hope for the team, but his impact off the field is just as important. There's no denying that Shedur's brand is popular. He does more than just show up on Sundays, play the game, and go home. He is a cultural icon, a symbol of the new Cleveland Browns, and a representation of everything this team wants to be. Haslam sees this clearly and knows that having Shedur on the team can help the Browns in ways that just winning games can't. Shedur has the kind of star power that can bring a whole new level of attention to the team. This could be through endorsements that bring in more money for both Shedur and the organization, social media influence that helps the Browns reach younger audiences, or community outreach that strengthens the team's connection to Cleveland. In a time when professional sports teams are judged not only on how well they do on the field, but also on how strong their brand is and how relevant they are to culture, having a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders is priceless. Jimmy Haslam knows that Shedur's ability to promote himself and the Browns will be just as important as how well he plays on game day. Shedur is the face of the franchise, and in every way possible, he is the future of the Browns. He won't just win games. He is going to sell shirts. He's going to make more people watch TV. He's going to get free agents who want to play with a young quarterback who is fun to watch. Cleveland will become a place where players want to go instead of a place they want to avoid. Haslam is making sure that Shedur has everything he needs to succeed, not just as a quarterback, but also as a community leader and a brand ambassador for the whole organization. The Browns have always had passionate fans, but with Shedeur Sanders in charge, those fans are more excited than ever. The mood around the team has changed completely. You can feel the excitement in the air when you walk through downtown Cleveland on game day. When you go to a sports bar, you won't hear fans talking about their latest disappointment. Instead, you'll hear them talking about the exciting plays Shedur made last week and what might happen in the weeks to come. If you look at social media, you'll see Browns fans defending their quarterback with a passion that hasn't been there in years. Shedur is exactly the kind of player the Browns have been looking for a long time. He can't run a conservative game plan well, but he can't step in when he needs to either. He doesn't have all the tools, but he doesn't know how to use them. He's not a project in the works that could turn into something great someday if everything goes well. Right now, he's a game changer. He has the power to turn this whole franchise around and take it to heights it hasn't seen in generations. With Jimmy Haslam's unwavering loyalty providing stability and funding from the ownership level, Andrew Berry's bold lineup moves creating the right supporting cast, and Shedur's unquestionable talent providing the on-field excellence, a new era is beginning for the Browns. This isn't just hope that comes from a few good games. This isn't false hope based on possibilities that might never happen. This is real excitement because there is real proof that the Browns finally have their franchise quarterback.